Now let's get started on putting in some eyelets. You just need some metal eyelets and a cord to be thread through. Here you can see I've done the pocket slightly different. So if you don't want to work with a pattern in that area, that's a really good idea. Here I've just top stitched the ends, and on this one I created a little toggle. So how do we do this? You need 4 eyelet parts, the 2 bigger parts and the little plates that go on it. The cord, if you want to do a pocket like I've done here, then just cut the base of the pocket out in the check and then the facing in the shell. And we also need an additional little 2 pieces of filing which go on exactly in the area that is marked on the pattern for the eyelets. So I would actually cut that out like I have with a little circle, and then you put on the filing. You can also then put that pattern back over it and mark with pencil where that eyelet is, and then you can cut that little circle out. And on the other side, turn over your waistband pattern and then you iron that on. You could also put in 2 additional eyelets. I've done that here on this sample at the back, and that's also marked on your pattern. Now please do mark them with pencil before you cut them out. It's a lot easier, but I just did not realize that until I was finished. Cut away. And then you can press through the longer part of the eyelet, the one that has the little stem to it. So you take it from the outside and push through. It's very important not to make the hole too big. So my hole is really small, so I force it apart so it can't fray out. Then you put the plate over the top, and the ridge part is facing you now so that the thicker part is going downwards. And then you take your tool and you put the top here, which we're going to hammer in and excite all our neighbors with our lovely banging. That is going to form the eyelet. Press the metal edges down so it gives you that really nice finish. I've sewn on my waistband now, and what we're going to look at is how we stitch this on. It is a tiny bit different to the other shorts, not much, but we need to be very close to the eyelet, so we need to use a piping foot so that we can move our needle over, in this case almost all the way over to the right, in order to stitch this in really well. You want to secure the thread before you start stretching it. And then also you need to stretch very, very gently, because you will break your needle if you force the fabric too much. I am using a jeans needle. I did try with other needles and other strength of needles. I started with an 80, which broke, went up to a 90 and it broke, did a 90 again and it broke. So at that point I decided to get out my special jeans needle, which is much stronger steel, and that didn't break, but I still had to be careful. So you go to the other end and you secure your stitching. See, and it's just gliding along the edge of the eyelet. Then on the other side, this is quite cool with the pfaff machines, you can just move that piping foot over, and then you move the needle over to the other side. Again, sort of like 2 steps that the machine will automatically do away from the edge. So if you go all the way over to the edge and then 2 backwards, you have about the perfect positioning to stitch this. If it's too close to the edge, it will actually break your needle again. That was another thing that I found out. If you are on the edge, it doesn't matter what needle you use, it will just break, because to pull it that evenly is actually quite difficult to do. So now I'm stitching along that side. So secure your thread first before you start stretching. So go backwards and forwards, then very gently stretch and sew along the top edge here. Next, you want to see that your cord has the right length to your taste. So there are measurements, of course, on the pattern, but I would check it first, see what you like. You might want to tie it in the front, and then it needs to be a little bit longer. So in one outlet and out the other side. And this is now a little bit adjustable, and I like that because you can make it a bit tighter if it's too loose. Then stitch over the ends and fray them out. And if you want to do it like they do mostly in industry, which is just tie a knot in the end, you could do that too. Or you could create the little toggles at the end. So fold over the piece of fabric, and then with the open end facing down, put it onto your cord about 2 centimeters off the edge. You do the same again on the other side. So open edge facing downwards, and then fold it over and pin it in tight. It is much easier if the fabric is cut on the diagonal. I did it on the straight here because I was doing the typical autopilot again, and I just cut it without looking at the pattern piece. There is a diagonal arrow on the pattern piece, but I didn't watch out for that. So really secure it at the top and then go out diagonally to the edge. I would use a really small stitch as well, so this can't fray out. So I'm on about 1.2 here. Secure, and then you can cut this back, obviously not the cord, cut around the cord and all the way down. So this is the finished one. You just simply pull it over and then you fray it out. But when I say simply, if you have cut it on the straight, it's really not that easy. So you need quite a lot of persuasion there to pull it over. If you have it cut on the diagonal, it's much easier. And this is how it's done. You cut it back quite a bit, but not so much that it will fray. And then I'm using a pin or safety pin here in that case to help me push it over. It's like a little bell. I really like this. That took a while to come up with this. I'd be really disappointed now if I saw it somewhere else and see that I wasn't the first one to do this. So pull it down, and then we can fray out the end again to give us that nice little bustle at the end. And then we send them both to the hairdressers and we cut the ends so that they're the same. I didn't really need to cut them, but I quite like cutting them off a bit. There we go, and that's the end done. Now that's very simple. If you want to see what else you can do with this pattern, of course, you can check out the other videos on the project page, and the link is behind the exclamation mark, which is actually in the top right hand corner of this video. And here I've done the back pocket slightly different, so you'll get a separate video for that. And then on this trouser, I've got a little tie in the front. We're doing belt loops, really nice pockets again, of course. And if you want the easy option, of course, you can do that too. This should be done in an afternoon. So thank you very much for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.